What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Fargo, Season 3, Episode 10. That's the Season 3 finale, titled Somebody to Love. Alright, so the Season 3 finale of Fargo. Sad to see it go. It was a fantastic season. The writing was tremendous. It was the best writing, I think, of the series. Up there, I think, yes, the best performances in the series to date out of all three seasons. A very intriguing, interesting, and mysterious storyline. But overall now, all said and done, it's definitely not my favorite season. Second favorite. I liked it better than season 2. Didn't like it quite as much as season 1. And that kind of all goes into how they wrapped everything up. So, I really enjoyed the episode. Don't get me wrong. And don't beat me up for saying that it wasn't the best finale ever. It was a good finale. We got closure to pretty much all of the characters. There's the one thing with Varga and Gloria that's kind of left up there hanging. But to me, that was the point of the series. If you look at the series as a whole, the whole thing, was about what's really true. What do you believe? Who is actually right and who is actually wrong. And that's kind of been our whole thread through the whole season. And it's a nice bookend, the way it ends with Varga sitting there being interrogated by Gloria, and the way the season starts with Yuri Gurka, the fake Yuri Gurka, being interrogated in that situation. And if you look at both scenes, and I'll do a video maybe getting more into depth in this, but if you look at both of those scenes, the bookends, the opening scene and the ending scene, not only do they mirror each other in tone and in visuals, but they also mirror each other in just the fact of the subject matter. Varga is saying, this is going to happen. Somebody's going to come in and rescue me. And Gloria is saying, I don't think that's going to happen. Whereas in the first one, the guy's saying, I'm not Yuri Gurka. And the guy behind the desk is saying, you are Yuri Gurka. So, it's a beautiful parallel. And I like the way it comes full circle and really, really wraps it up. All right, so that being said, I enjoyed the episode. I really, really liked it. This season was very good to me, and this is still, by far, one of the best shows on TV. Now, before I get into the meat of the episode, I want to say a couple of things I didn't get to say during the previous review. Or maybe I did, and I'm just not remembering. I really don't like how we don't see Nikki and Wrench obtain those weapons. One scene, and that would have summed that up really, really, really nicely. But they decided to not do that for some reason. I don't really know why. And we also would have benefited this season from having not even a whole episode, but just a scene or two of Nikki's backstory and kind of explaining what type of criminal she was. Yes, we got to see how her brain works and that she's very smart and methodical. We got to see all that stuff this season. But it would have been nice to see a little bit of a more action crime or crime-based story with her, how she knows how to use guns and all that. Maybe Wrench showed her. But I think we would have benefited somewhere between episode 7 and the finale to have some sort of backstory or exposition about Nikki and the way she goes carrying out her revenge. I liked it, and it was pretty realistic, I thought, the way she was carrying things out. I just thought we would have benefited as an audience from that. And I'm not the type of guy who needs everything spoon-fed. I may come across as that way sometimes. My brain works a lot better than my mouth does. You know what I mean? But I really, really feel like we were missing something with that. Okay. So that being said, I really enjoyed what they did with Gloria here. She didn't really have a lot to do this season, and that's why her character story arc fell a little flat for me. We didn't really get to know her as well as we get to know the police officers in the previous seasons. We really get to know who Lou is. We really get to know who Molly is. We really get to know who Marge is from the movie. And I feel like Carrie Coon, though Gloria, we do get to know about her character and her performance. Carrie Coon's performance was fantastic, and I think her performance is what really gave us insight into who she was. And it really should have been a combination of the performance and the writing. And I feel like the writing wasn't there into explaining who Gloria was. I also did not like how her pops and all of that, his flashback story really had nothing to do with the episode. It was kind of just there. I mean, with the season, it was just there in that episode. It had to do with the context, I guess, of that episode. I mean, it had to do with the context of the season, mistaken identities, the truth versus what you really believe and all of that. But I thought, and yes, I was being maybe a hopeful fan or wishful fan or just not thinking it through properly, that I really thought it was going to tie in somehow to the grand scheme of things, and it didn't. And that's fine. I'm not really upset about that. I kind of just got my hopes up with the way they built that up in the first couple of episodes, that was going to somehow tie into it beyond Varga using Pops's murder as a way to kind of make it look like it's this whole serial killer conspiracy thing to cover up for Emmett, which was actually pretty genius if you think about it. If you think about Varga's plan and his execution of that plan. But I don't know. I like I said, that's really a fault on me for looking that much into it. So my own fault. Can't blame anybody for that. Can't fault the show for that. And Nikki's story came to an interesting resolve. I really, really thought Nikki was going to be a person to make it out of here alive. But honestly, the only people, our main characters, who make it out alive are, who? Varga and Gloria. That's the only people that make it out alive. Wrench isn't really a main character. He became one later in the season, but he's not a main character there from day one, like a lot of the other players were. So really, our only and I guess Sai lives too, but I mean, he might even be better off dead with the state that he's in, almost a vegetated state, So I really thought Nikki was gonna win in this, and it surprised me that she got gunned down. It surprised me the way that she did. It was very No Country for Old Men in that standoff. I loved it. Just really surprising for me. But I like the way it was handled, with Nikki inching towards the gun. But it also leads me to something else I didn't get, is if somehow Nikki shut down Emmett's car, how was Emmett able to start it back up again as soon as it was over and drive away? I don't know if I really got all of that. Maybe I missed something, but I watched the episode multiple times, and I really didn't pick up on that. But you know how it is. Sometimes life gets in your head, and you just miss. You blink and you miss something, or you think about something else for a minute, and you've missed something. I just find it hard to believe that I missed it 3 times. But that's possible, so... But I liked how they played out Nikki. She got her revenge, basically. I think she felt vindicated in the end. Yes, it sucks that she died. But think about it. At least all the money that they took, Wrench got, and he got to walk away with it. So it's not like the money went back to the law or got taken up by another character or went back to Varga. You know what I mean? So Nikki still won, even though she lost. And that's usually not what happens with these types of characters in Fargo. Usually they just get their due. But that's why I thought Nikki was going to get away, because, most of the time Fargo's main characters end up in a bad position unless they're the police, So I enjoyed that. I thought it was handled fine. Like I said, I just wish I had some more backstory on Nikki and some more exposition, just because of the way she handled things. Just as Varga would, or even better in her planning, And then we get Emmett learns a lesson for progress from Varga. So we get that great scene with Varga and all his goons. Still, that's like they're all living in Emmett's house now. It's like it's a compound, Emmett gets, he grows a pair, and he's like, you know what? I see an opportunity. I'm going to take it, and maybe I'll get out of it. Maybe I don't. He swipes Memo's gun, and I thought things were going to go really bad for him, or I thought he was going to maybe pop Varga, and then all his men were going to pop Emmett, and it was going to be this crazy thing. but it was kind of too early in the episode to play that out. So I was on the edge of my seat, definitely. Not as much as I was the previous 2 episodes, but I was still on the edge of my seat for that scene. And then, Mimo sneaks up behind him, conks him, showing us, like Fargo always does, is that if you're not built for crime, if you're not cut out for that life, if you're not a tough guy, don't fake it. Don't pretend. Don't try to be that guy, or don't put yourself into those types of positions, because the chances are is if you're not really a tough guy, if you're not really a gangster, and you go up against the real deal gangsters, you're not going to end up on the right end of that confrontation, right? You're not going to be on the winning end of that. So nice lesson there that Fargo usually gives us. The show, the movies, not usually, they always give us that character that isn't a criminal, a bad guy, but somehow becomes that, and it's just not a fit for them, and things go drastically wrong. And maybe that's the point with Nikki, and Ray in this one, All right, let's move on. Enough rambling about that. All right, so we talked about all the main stuff, and then we get the closeout with Emmett, which a lot of people I'm reading didn't really like. 5 years later, Emmett's happy with his family. He has been for 5 years. Everything was feeling normal to him again. It was feeling like it was for him when the season first started, where he was a man on top of the world, and everyone respected him and looked up to him, and he had all these loved ones around him. Now, granted, at that time, he took his loved ones for granted, and that's why I think in this one, he's the one that gets up to go to the kitchen to help out with the serving and all that, instead of making his wife do it, because now he's not taking life for granted, and he's got his family back, and all the hell he went through, and he really had a nice arc, the character of Emmett, and we all think that he's going to be that happy ending character, and then out of nowhere, silencer to the back of the dome, and it was Wrench, and I loved it, and it was Wrench getting revenge for Nikki, because he didn't realize that Nikki had came to terms with Emmett, or did she? It looked like she was getting ready to let him go if that cop didn't show up, right? So that was all great. I loved it. And I still like how Wrench is the only character so far to be in all the seasons. I hope they continue to integrate him in. I'm not saying he has to be a main character. Not that he ever was. Maybe he deserves a season where he's a major character. Maybe we'll get that next season. I doubt it. I think next season is going to be a flashback again. So maybe we'll get that in season 5. Who knows? But I like the way that was handled. Now, the thing with Varga, everybody's complaining about this to me. Everybody. I see it online. My friends, family, whatever. They're all complaining about the ending with Varga. They either wanted him to get away and win, or they wanted him to be dead, or they wanted him to be incarcerated. The fact that they left the thread hanging bothers a lot of people. But not me. Because like I said in the beginning of this video, it fits in with the through line of this season. It makes sense. And the bad guys don't always lose, especially on a corporate level. And yes, the season was about many things. But the real crime that was going on this season, it wasn't crime families, like criminal organizations. And it wasn't this rogue hitman coming to town causing all these problems like season 1 and season 2. It was about corporate takeover and the way that someone can just muscle in with money and absolve your business, basically. The whole way Varga it was throughout the series, how he was constantly consuming so much that he felt the need to purge. A lot of people think that this was a control thing, because I think that kind of goes into the psychology of bulimia. Is like you're trying to maintain control over everything, like your body and all that. But I don't think it was really that. I think it was more like he consumes more than he's able to take on, and then he's got to spew it out. And look at what he does to the Stussy business. He consumes until he's absolved everything, and he spews out the company to Goldfarb. And this is the way he probably acts from business to business to business. Consuming till you cannot consume anymore, or until the law gets so thick on your trails that now it's time to spew it out. And he does it in these intervals, right? Like these small increments, like he sells for Stussy, which is like a couple of $1 million company, for $100,000. because he's not really selling it to her. Goldfarb works for him, you know what I mean? But it's an illusion, right? So it's his illusion of spewing it and getting rid of it when he's still getting the enjoyment from it, just like the food, right? So like you're spewing it out, you're getting rid of it from your body, you're purging it, but you still enjoyed eating it, you still enjoyed tasting it, right? It just makes me think of him sitting on the toilet eating that ice cream, like the way he's just shoveling it in and shoveling it in. Amazing to me. But he was a great character, one of my all-time favorite characters. I like this season as a whole. It is not my favorite Fargo season, but even my least favorite Fargo season, which is season 2, is still better than 90% of the crap that's floating around on TV right now. So I can't wait to do a rewatch. I like to rewatch the seasons in chronological order, being season 2, then the movie, then season 1, and then season 3. So that's what I did before season 3 started. I'll probably do it again, either sometime in the off season or before season 4 starts. I'm going to do some more Fargo videos, so there'll be more Fargo stuff to come, even though I seem to be getting beat up a lot in my theories or thinkings of it. But whatever, it's all part of the fun, right? So I'm definitely going to do a VM Varga video, and I'll probably even break down a couple of other characters in another video, and maybe we'll get into some of the themes and the connections too in another one. So if you're a fan of Fargo and you like these videos, definitely stay tuned for more, because I'll be posting more this coming week. And, for the off season, next couple of weeks, just to keep us a little, keep the conversation still going about Fargo. It was so good. I don't want the convo to die yet. So I would like to keep that conversation going. Definitely let me know how you feel down below about the finale or the whole season 3 or anything Fargo related, movie, show, anything Coen Brothers actually. And yeah, drop that in the comments. I like to get into this stuff. Good, the bad, the ugly. Leave it down there. I got pretty thick skin, so it doesn't really bother me as far as negativity goes. So thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.